I'm just going to show you this lick here. The interesting thing about it is that it's made up of a sequence that's a really good hybrid picking exercise, and we just turn it into a lick by putting in a change just halfway through the sequence. Hybrid picking, using your pick and then the remaining fingers on your right hand, is a really useful technique. It has some drawbacks, compared to all other techniques. Alternate picking has its drawbacks as well. It has some things that are hard to do with that technique, as with economy picking, as with sweep picking, as with legato. But hybrid picking has some really cool features built into it, and those are really worth pursuing. When I started out, I really didn't like the technique because you get one sound with your pick, right? And then you have this soft sound of picking with your fingers, and in the beginning it's kind of, your fingers stick to the strings and the timing is hard, and the whole sound of it doesn't really add up, and so I didn't go into it for years. But it's a really, really useful technique, and one of the features it has that is just really great is that it feels easy once you get it up to speed, so you achieve a more flowing playing style. Another feature is that it's really easy to do string skipping, right? When you do alternate picking, you have to move your pick from one string to another. It's a pretty big jump, but when you're doing hybrid picking, you have your pick here and your finger here, and it's just like bam, bam, right? So less motion means that once you get it up to speed, it's much easier, it flows easier, and it's really fun to do. But you have to push through the initial wall of resistance, which is all the little things that you're not used to. And then it becomes easier. So this little sequence here is designed to not only give you a really great exercise for building those first hybrid picking techniques, but it's also a great example of how the string shifting becomes much easier than with alternate picking or economy picking for that matter. So let me show you the sequence and the lick, and talk just a little bit about how to perform the hybrid picking technique, so it's much easier to get going. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the minor pentatonic, C minor pentatonic, as an example here, and we're going to put in some extra notes to have our 3-note per string shape. You could see this as a Dorian shape with some chromatics in it, or you could just see it as a little trick we do to expand the blues scale. So what I have here is the standard minor pentatonic in the 8th fret. I got the 8th and the 11th on the high E string, and the same on the B string. Then I got the 8th and the 10th on the G, on the D, on the A, and on the low E string I got the 8th and the 11th again. And we got the blue note right there in the 11th fret on the G string. So on this string I got 3 notes, and on the A string I got the 8th, 9th, and 10th. So I got a little chromatics going there. But I'm going to add, every time I have that minor third here in the minor pentatonic, I'm just going to add a note just before the top note. So in this case it's in the 10th fret. So I get these 3 notes, 8, 10, 11 on the high E string, and then 8 and 10, 11 on the B string as well. And then on the low string here, the E string, I got the 8th, 10th, and 11th as well. So a whole tone and a semitone on those 3 strings. Then every time I have a lonely whole tone interval here, which is only actually on the D string, I'm just going to put in a chromatic note there in the 9th fret. So I got 8, 9, and 10 on the D string, and that gives me this shape. So I got 3 notes on each string. So 11, 10, and 8 on the top strings, and then 10, 9, and 8 on the D, 10, 9, 8 on the A, and then 11, 10, and 8 on the low E string. Okay then, so let's just play the sequence here, clean. And what that does is, every time you go from string to string, you make it harder on yourself using hybrid picking. So you pick the top note in the 11th fret, but you use your middle finger here. So you reserve the pick for the B string right here. You use your middle finger and you pick it like this. So instead of, if you were to be plucking a chord, or you would sometimes do this. But in this case, we curl up the fingers like that, and then you place them like that, and then you actually not pick in this direction with your finger, but in that direction. So, and that gives you a lot less resistance. So it's a lot easier to do this because it kind of slides off the string than doing this, right? So you slide off the string like that, and you plug it really lightly. No slapping, just as lightly as you almost can, and that gives you a really easy way to set off the string. Let me just see if I can get closer to the camera here. So that's the way to do it, not like this, but like this. So you're actually touching the side of the finger and some of the side of the nail here when you pick like that. So pick with your middle finger, pull off down to the 10th, pull off down to the 8th. Then you hit the 11th fret on the B string with a downstroke, and again, don't pick hard, just pick slightly because you're doing legato here, hammer-ons and pull-offs. So you want to pick very lightly, then hit the 8th fret again on the high E string with your middle finger. So you get this, and back again to the 11th fret on the B string. So you go, so down and then pluck like that. You might want to just do that, or just that exercise. Downstroke on the B, and then that. Then just get comfortable with this, right? So you go, and then you're right back to the B string again. Once you hit the B string in the 11th fret, you pull off down to the 10th, and then you pull off down to the 8th. All right, so, and then pick stroke, finger, pick, and then pull off, and pull off. And that's your first exercise before we move into the sequence and then change the sequence to a lick. Then you just put that in a loop. And you play that over and over and over again until this seems comfortable, until it stops being uncomfortable and weird to do the thing with the finger. And it will eventually. Keep the picking and the plucking very light, and you'll get through the initial resistance really quickly. So what we do from there is just we take our 3-note per string shape here, and we just go. See, now I'm down to there, and I reach for my 11th fret and go. So I do the exact same thing. All the way down. So let's just see if we can get through it. So actually the sequence goes like this. That's it. And then as I return back to this note in the 11th fret, I start the sequence over again, but on 2 different strings. So I go. Right? Right, so let's just play slowly. Oh, sorry. Right? And you start the first note with the index finger or the middle finger, sorry. But then the next part of the sequence, you start that with a downstroke. And then downstroke, index finger, middle finger, and then back again. See if you can play the first little part of it here. Down, finger, down, pull off, and then down, finger, down, pull off, because then you have 2 instances and it's really easy to take the rest. Super slow. Continue. Yeah. And then we can just put in the middle, instead of having this repetitive sequence that people, if you listen to it, it becomes really repetitive, which it is, all right? But then in the middle here, we can go. And that's the lick you see on the tabs there. As soon as you hit that note, then you put in this little variation. You play the whole sequence. Then we get to here, you hit the 10th fret on the G string. Then you bar over or roll your finger over to the 10th fret on the G string. And back again to the 10th fret on the D string. Hit the 8th fret again with your finger. So it's always back and forth, but instead of alternate picking, it's down, finger, down, finger, down, finger, down, finger all the time. All right, so 10D, 10G, and 10D again, and then first finger in the 8th fret on the G string, and then you can continue your sequence. All right. Let me just play the whole lick for you. So I hope you're up to it. If you are, then do this exercise all week. First, you follow the strategy of learning it, perhaps with a metronome, or at least with total focus on the technique, not playing any faster than you can while remaining in complete control. And then once you have that little loop up to speed, up to some amount of speed, and you can play it without focusing too much on it. It's just it's just a habit, right? And you get everything right, you don't have to focus on it that much, then you can start watching YouTube videos, learn a new language as you practice over and over and over again at a tempo where you get everything right. Don't push for speed. So if you've been sitting in front of the TV or your computer, watching YouTube videos and doing the same loop over and over again, then afterwards, you can try to push for speed, because that's a test to see how much did I get out of my 3 hours of playing it perfectly over and over and over again. Don't practice fast, because the only thing that will happen is that you start making mistakes, little small mistakes and bigger mistakes, and the brain simply can't learn under those conditions. It needs for you to do it perfectly so it knows what to become good at. If you practice having a lot of little mistakes in there, whether it be just hitting the string right or just, pulling the string a little bit too much, those things will mess it up, because that's what you then become good at. Because that's what you repeat a million times, right? Over and over again, you're making little mistakes, and so that's what the brain learns and reproduces as you play faster and faster, and you'll just end up being dissatisfied with your result. So stay in control, play not faster than you can absolutely remain in control and do everything accurately, and then afterwards you can test to see what you got out of your practice session. Hope that makes sense to you, and I hope to see you in the next video.